I'm not scared about my next chapter because I know the author. I'm the author. Understanding boundaries, understanding energy vampires. As I've matured and grown, especially in confidence as an entrepreneur, I now feel okay
So cool.
saying, hey, I don't need this in my life.
So today I'm sitting down with Lauren Lucas. Now she's a top producing real estate agent. She's an AI strategist, and she's a community leader who's been building a community around what she's teaching with AI. So I'm super lucky to have Lauren with us today. So Lauren, thank you so much. You traveled here.
I did.
Literally all the way from Columbus, Ohio.
Ohio.
I think you might be the longest traveled guest that we've had so far, and our first guest in our new studio in Chandler, Arizona. So crazy that you've come all this way. Thank you so much.
Of course. Anything for the Forward fam.
I know. Well, tell people, what's the Forward fam? Let's tell
gosh.
people what that is.
Yes. So Neil Dingra has put together a amazing community.
Yes.
And I've been a part of it. This is my third year now. And that's where you and I met.
We met. We were sitting at the same table.
Yep.
And I realized you were from Columbus, and you always had really cool swag, like the way you dress, like the way you present yourself. I was like, I got to get to know her. And then on the last Forward event, you got up and spoke and told everybody what you'd been doing. And one of the things that resonated with me, and it was almost like there's no way you can do this. There's no way you can do this. And you said that you had taken your team and you were able to reduce the amount of headcount on your team by automating all these things that you were doing from an AI perspective. And then you grew your business in a way that like 4X did or something like that. So I was like, how is this possible, right? So I started to really try to learn AI in a way that you were doing it. And I was like, you know what? I got to get you in front of my audience, because people who are out there who have not implemented, I think a lot of people are using ChatGPT for, maybe writing emails or Googling something at this point. But there's a next level to this AI strategy. And if you're listening today, like grab a pencil, grab a paper, because this is going to be so good. So thank you for doing this.
Of course. It's my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
So you and I were just talking, and you were telling me the story about how you had gone down this path, like, exactly what your family wanted you to do. You went to school, got a job at the state.
Yeah.
You were doing the 9 to 5. And then at some point, something happened in your life where your back literally was probably against a wall and had to make a decision. Tell us about this breakthrough moment you had.
Yeah. So both my parents were state highway patrol.
Okay.
And so organically, I kind of just followed in the footsteps, as a lot of, children of parents do. And I worked for the state for about 6 years. Mm-hmm. And in 2015, I had a back surgery, and I was off work for about 8 weeks. And during this time, I had the Sunday scaries every day for 8 weeks.
Like
every
Sunday scaries, you're thinking about this anxiety that just is like a wave that comes over you, where you're thinking, I got to go back to work at some point. Like this is going to happen. You're just dreading it.
Dreading it every single
day. That's the
day.
worst place to be.
It is. And I was sitting by myself. Mm-hmm. I couldn't do anything. I was recovering from surgery. And I kind of just had this aha moment of like, I'm 25 years old. Am I really going to feel like this for the rest 24, 25, 30 years of my life?
Yes.
And
so many people do that, though.
Yeah.
So many people, like, that's the only way.
Yeah.
Is to go down, get the state job, you get the benefits, you might be able to take a vacation to Six Flags, whatever that is, and that's it. And you want, what opened up like the idea that I want something more and it could be more?
So just sitting with myself started the unlock of, I can't do this for the rest of my life. When I went back to work in February, I was up for my annual or biannual review, and I was actually told to slow down. I was told, stop doing so much. I was doing too much. Mm-hmm. And the problem was my shift at that point was 6 a.m. to 3 p.m. Mm-hmm. So I was in 2 hours before majority of the people in my department. So I would just pop headphones in and bust out as much as I could, which turned into a problem for them. And so that was my final like icing on the cake of like, okay, I'm getting paid well-ish.
Yes.
I'm not making millions. I'm stuck here for 30 years. Mm-hmm. And if I'm working too hard for a job I don't even like, what am I capable of internally with entrepreneurship?
How many people are listening to this right now that are thinking that they have a job, they're just not getting enough out of life, and they're dreading it every day? Like I think about, I'm so lucky. I was telling somebody this the other day. I'm so lucky because I get to come in and hang out with cool people. Like, this is what I do for a living. And I can, just get to engage on a different level and learn something. And, every now and then I'm on a plane and I'm meeting people in different states, and I love what I do, but I wouldn't have been able to do that if I stayed put in my hometown doing exactly what everybody else was doing. And I think it's just that push that somebody needs to hear. So I hope somebody's listening to this saying, if she can do it, I can do it.
For sure.
So what was the steps? Like, what did you actually do to break through and go down a whole different...
Absolutely. So first of all, let me just say I am not a techie person. I was a B and C student. I am not some genius.
Yeah.
But I guess now I know a lot of entrepreneurs are or were, right?
Yeah.
So basically what I did was I made up my mind. I was done. I couldn't do it anymore. And what I did was I set myself up because I had a mortgage. I was married at the time.
Okay.
And I set myself up in a way of what is my backup plan if this fails? So I put in my 2 weeks notice. I quit my job because, going back just a little bit, because my sophomore year internship had turned into a full-time job, I was only going to school part-time. So
what are you going to school for?
Criminal justice
Criminal
administration.
justice, right?
Yeah.
So this is perfect because you were a
tech.
dispatcher at the time.
Yeah.
It was like right up your alley that
Yeah.
you could do an intern.
And so I was doing school part-time
Yep.
because I kind of put it on the back burner because I was already now making the $45,000, had the good job. I didn't really have an incentive. And so when I put in my 2 weeks, I committed. I had 9 credit hours left. I was going to finish my degree. And when I quit my job, I went and bartended because that was what I did through college anyways. And so for that amount of time, I signed back up for school, finished my classes, and I graduated with my bachelor's degree on January 7th, which was a Sunday, and started real estate on January 8th.
You started real estate, just went straight into it. And then who did you work with back then? Like what company?
I've been with Keller Williams.
Keller Williams ever since. Okay, so did you ever have to sit down and do the math? Like, okay, I'm making this.
Yeah.
So if I can just get to that, then I'll be okay. And how many houses do I have to sell to get to that? And
Absolutely.
How did you do all that math? How did that work out?
Yeah, so honestly, it was a lot of showing up in the office, talking to the veteran agents, understanding what cost comes into entrepreneurship. You have signage, you have business cards, you have taxes.
Nobody thinks about all this.
No one thinks about all of that. Setting up an LLC the proper way, making sure that at the end of the tax year, you don't have to go sell 3 more houses just to pay your tax bill. So it was me taking initiative and putting myself in those rooms with those people.
Asking the right
who
questions.
Could set me up because I didn't know what I didn't know. I didn't even know what questions to ask. But me coming in and showing up every day, they could see the drive, they could see the persistence, and they could see, okay, this girl is not going to fail.
When you think about who you were back at that time, and we're going to get into the AI stuff, but like I'm so curious about your journey there. Who took you under their wing that was like, okay, like the person that, really, took notice to you and took you under their wing? Was it a group of people or one individual that really stands out to you? Yeah.
So our entire office was amazing, but there are 3 people that stand out to me, bar none.
Yeah.
And the first one was our productivity coach at the time, DJ. His job, obviously, was to help me understand how to write the contract and things like that. But I never saw his job description, but I guarantee you he did a lot more than what his job description was to make sure I was successful.
There you go.
Beyond that, there were 2 veteran agents in our office, and they start to see a little bit of momentum. And so they offered me a 3rd seat in their 4 walls. So I sat with 2 of the top producing agents.
Just listening to them.
Just being around them, listening to them, going to happy hour, having them show me, what they do for open houses, what I need to be doing for prospecting and things like that. And I tell you what, being in the right room is half the battle.
That is it. I was talking to a guy who, you reminded me, so there was a guy, last Friday night, my son wanted Chipotle, so we had it delivered, and the guy was walking away, and he came back, and he was like, hey, what do you do for a living? And so we just started talking, and he started asking a lot more questions. I was like, why don't you just come by my office and like hang out with me for a few hours and let me show you what I do? But the fact that he asked that question and wanted to do it, and when you look at those people, like there's somebody listening right now who's a top producer, you have the knowledge and share it because that changes people's life. Like if those 2 veterans didn't take you under their wing, like imagine what the trajectory would have been. You had a playbook. You knew exactly where to go from there. And that life lesson in asking the right questions, being around the right people, like if I had to start over, so he was asking me like, what should I do? Like, I'm literally delivering food for a living right now. And I said, well, connect with the top producer. Like find somebody that you can connect with that is willing to give you the time and you're willing to work. So you showed up, you asked the right questions, you got in a room with the right people, and look at where you're at today. So how did that turn into this massive career you have today?
For sure. And going back to who I was in 2017, I don't even know who that person is. I mean, she was a turtle. She would not talk to anybody.
Really?
I would walk in a room and I would be the one back against the wall, like, how much longer until I can leave?
I actually can see that in you, because I do think you're an observer before you lean in, you know? And I'll share this with you about you, because I think that I wasn't planning to go here, but when we sat at the table, you're really quiet. And I can tell you were observing. You were almost in a way intimidating to me, because I'm like, she's not saying a lot and I can't figure it out. So then I was getting into an Uber, and you and I locked eyes when I was leaving San Diego forward. And I was like, hey, I would really like to get you on my podcast. And you flashed that smile and you were like, I'll come to you.
Yeah.
And I was like, instantaneously, I realized the type of individual you were, but you're an observer in the rooms that you walk into until you lean in, and then you're like, okay, I got this. And I think that's a really good trait to have, to kind of understand the rooms you get into. But where does that confidence come from? Like, how did you have to get over, like, being the wallflower to what you're doing today?
Yeah, I think a lot of it too was borrowing other people's confidence when I didn't have it.
I love that.
It was a lot of showing up when I was super uncomfortable. I mean, I was a mess on stage at Neil's mastermind.
Could not tell.
You couldn't tell.
No,
Everyone says
I love that. Could not tell.
Inside,
and I would tell you.
I mean, my brain's glitching.
yeah.
I'm shaking. I'm just like, but you're never going to grow unless you put yourself in uncomfortable situations.
I love that.
And for me, I think a lot of my, being an observer, obviously having state trooper as your dad, having military in your background, that's kind of what you're taught. You know, our fun in the car was my dad, as we're driving, hey, what did that license plate say?
There you go.
Hey, what color car was that?
Just
what color hair did that drive?
Wow.
So I learned that throughout my life, which has been a blessing, because it's so important, especially being a woman in today's world. But it's funny you say I'm intimidating, because I hear that all the time.
You are. It's a way that you, like, because you'll lock in and you're really good at eye contact. And so when you do that and you're not saying anything, there's these awkward silences that you're like, okay, what is she thinking? You know, and you're trying to fill the air or the silence. But I actually really I think it's an endearing quality, because I don't think that, like, many of us could talk. I think when you say something, there's weight to it. And that's what I noticed about you.
And I think too, I mean, I'm not going to go deep into childhood, but I'm ADHD. I was diagnosed when I was younger, and it was a mental stigma, so I wasn't treated like I should be. My dad was an alcoholic, passed away when I was 17. I was kicked out of my house directly after that. So I think the reason that I am I'm so cautious is because I love hard. And once you're in with me, you are in, and I am loyal to a fault. So I kind of play the room in a way of, like, who's worth my energy, who's worth my time, and who's just going to suck it. Because I do give. I'm a giver. And anybody that you talk to will be like, Lauren will give you the shirt off her back. I want to be sure that those people that I let in are worthy of that type of love and support.
Where does that come
from?
from?
Me, but from anybody in the world.
Where does that come from, Lauren? Like,
I think a lot of it was being who I needed when I was younger and didn't have.
That's it. So, because you said, I got kicked out when I was 17. Yeah. Now, for a lot of the people who are listening, not a lot of people have to go through that, right? Like, for me, like, I left because I wanted to leave. You left because you had to leave. And so does that change how you parent? Does that change how you connect with people and who you let into your life?
100%. And I think too, I mean, you're always learning, you're always evolving, but understanding boundaries, understanding the energy vampires, understanding the people who are there to just suck every ounce of everything you're willing to give. As I've matured and grown, especially in confidence as an entrepreneur, I now feel okay.
So cool.
Saying, hey, I don't need this in my life. Whereas back then, I was so desperate to be successful, I would take on anybody. And I think that is, the first client that you ever fire is huge, because it does. It's like, oh my gosh, yeah, that sucks. I'm not going to get that paycheck. but I just saved myself 30, 45, 60 days of anxiety, stress, taking all my energy from other people I could be serving.
Without a doubt.
So I definitely think it's a lot of inner work. It's a lot of understanding what your triggers are and figuring out what you are or are not willing to accept in your life.
I think the biggest thing that listeners and people who, are dealing with, everybody has a vampire in their life that's sucking out, I have it, and I've evolved to like, I don't want to work with people that are assholes. Right. And sometimes it rears its head, like in the weirdest ways, that you'll let you all of a sudden you realize, oh, that I see what's going on here. But one of the most confident things and we had to do it this week. One of my leaders had to let go of somebody, and they were like, I don't want to let them go because my team's going to shrink and it's going to send a message. And I knew all these things were going through their mind, but I was like, you cannot, your values, someone else will show up in your world, but your values you have to keep your values strong. Because if we allow this individual to do what they did, we are minimizing our values and we're minimizing our worth. And that cannot, once you compromise that, then everything is compromised.
100%.
And so I think that, you being able to recognize that the moment you fired that client, opportunities, happen, but it also gave you your confidence. That to me is the best thing. So once you realize, once you go into real estate, how many years? So this was around 2015, 2017.
2017 is when I got licensed.
When you got licensed. Okay. Yeah. 2017, you got licensed. Now we're 2025. How many years did it take to where you got to a point that you were like, I'm actually, one, making more money than I was making before. And two, I now can start to really build and help other people?
For sure. For me, I was I won't use the word lucky. Mm-hmm. I was putting myself in the right position that I was pretty successful right off the bat. So in the first 9 months of being licensed, I got Rookie of the Year. I crushed the fastest capper for a new agent in our office. Yes. And I made more in those 9 months than my entire year's salary that I was coming off of.
Okay, so in 9 months you made more because you got in the right rooms, you did the right things, you put yourself in the most uncomfortable situations ever. But because of that, you crushed it. Yeah. And what did that feel like? Like to get that, to be in that room and to be able to get that award? What was that like?
I had a lot of imposter syndrome because I'm like, who am I? Some small town Ohio girl who has no idea what she's doing, right? But also it gave me a sense of empowerment. It gave me a sense of, oh, maybe I am trusting the right process. Maybe I am blindly walking into something, hoping it works out. But as long as I show up day after day after day, whether it takes 6 months or 6 years, I can't keep showing up and nothing's going to happen, right?
Love that, yeah.
So, I mean, like Mel Robbins says, this can't be, I can't remember exactly, but this can't be as good as it gets because I'm putting in the work, I'm showing up every day. And it is hard in the beginning because you're blindly hoping and trusting, but that's, and to your colleague's point, when you start to delete things from your life, get the baggage out, get the energy vampires out, you open up so much opportunity.
Without a doubt. It opens up because right now what happens is you're focusing on such a negative entity and energy. And the moment you can delete that, I forgot who it was. I think it was, it's either Bradley or Ed Milet that literally talks about you got to delete that. Like you got to go through the process of deleting it from your brain. Once you delete it, then it opens up a new world of brain space to say like, I was never even looking at all these other options that are now available because I've deleted this other area. And so you recognizing that and talking to that, I think there's somebody out there who is definitely going to appreciate it. So I need to get into this because this is where, like, I think for you, you're going to be able to add a ton of value to the people that are listening who have been sleeping on really understanding how AI can change their life. So let's start from the top, right? And then we're going to kind of bring it down. To walk me through like what you did with your business and how it impacted your ability to scale. Yeah. And if you just kind of give me like a quick rundown, like a lead comes in, where it routes on your map, because I saw your map. I went on your call and thoroughly impressed. You want to know what I'm thoroughly impressed with? I am thoroughly impressed with someone like you who can take everything we learned in Mastermind and implement it in one phone call. I was like, I know where she got that. I know where she got that. Like you Frankenstein that thing. And I was literally sitting there. My wife and I watched it together. And I was so proud of you because I watched execution at its finest. It was amazing. You took what Sharon taught us. You took what Phil Jones taught us. You took all of it. And it was like beautiful. And so congratulations on building your first, that was your first like webinar, right? Yeah. Were you nervous?
Yeah. Oh God. I was pacing up until like, Chris,
you executed flawlessly.
30 minutes before, again, ADHD, I'm changing slides. I'm like, this isn't good enough.
Yeah.
This isn't right. I got to do this. I got to do
How many people did you have on the call?
That first one I had 142.
So your first webinar, 142, you're able to teach them something that they didn't know yesterday. So amazing. I'm so proud of you because we come from the same, mastermind to watch how you implemented. I have a lot to learn from, and I'm just really proud of it. So your map of how a customer process works through AI, give us the rundown, summarize that for us as best you can.
So the reason I even got into AI, if it's okay with you,
yeah,
to start
please.
there.
Yeah.
So when my partner and I decided that we were competition for each other in 2019 and joined a team. 2019 was before the pandemic, before the low interest rate, before all of that. Mm-hmm. And so we built this big team looking back for clout. It was nothing more than clout.
Okay.
But what happened was
when you say clout, is it because like you're able to leverage each other's resources and build faster and scale faster, or mainly like truly clout? Like you wanted people to see that you were flexing in the marketplace?
It was we were having success and we had people jumping to us saying, can I be a part of this? And that felt good. And we're like, yeah, sure.
Let's go. Yeah.
Let's build this team. And especially because we were both only 2 years in the industry, it was something that hadn't really been done.
It's true.
Right?
Yeah.
So we built this big team, and obviously pandemic and all the ups and downs and everything. So in 2023, we had 7 people on our team.
Okay.
And 2 of them went off to be their own agent. Mm-hmm. One was a part-time agent who we were like, hey, call a spade a spade. Yep. This isn't working out. And the other one got out of the industry altogether. Mm. And so I'm looking in October, I'm looking at our 2024 plan, and I'm like, we went from 7 to 3. Mm-hmm. How are we?
So that when I was talking about the person, they were like, they want to keep a body to keep a body. Yeah. And you're looking at it, you're like, okay, we went from here to here. What do we do?
Yeah. We went from 7 to 3. So what's that math? We lost almost 67% of our team.
Yep.
And historically, we sell anywhere from 100 to 150-ish houses a year. Mm-hmm. And so I'm looking at our business plan. I'm like, how are the 3 of us going to pull this off?
Mm-hmm. So you're not worried about the lead coming in and being able to actually get people to use you. You're worried about how you're going to execute at the same level of service that you're used to. Yeah.
At first, because we're about 85% referral based. Okay. So we really have never had to door knock, cold call, all of it. Like our social media and the service we give our clients has always reaped that benefit for us.
Got it.
So looking at the systems and the processes, not having the bodies to help do showings and stuff while we're on vacation with our kids or at the kids' soccer game, that was kind of where I started with I got to figure this out. And when AI became a thing, ChatGPT, right, I played with it a little bit, but I was super skeptical. Mm-hmm. I'm like, this is just another shiny object. We get them all the time in real estate. And I was like, I am too busy. I cannot be distracted with this new thing. Mm-hmm. And when we went from 7 to 3, I was like, okay, let me see what this thing can do.
Okay.
And so I started to mess with it more, and I started to learn a little bit.
When are you doing this? Like at night, during the day?
Oh,
like
this is burning the midnight candle with YouTube.
Okay.
This is late.
Oh, you're watching YouTubes. You're learning from YouTube.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. And so one of the projects we were working on at the time was this big development project. I'm talking like 400 different documents and pro formas and acreage and all this stuff. And so I'm like, you know what? Let me try with this. Mm-hmm. And so I started dumping the information in. Mm-hmm. And I started like teaching it how to execute. So I finally got it to a point where instead of me going through 400 pieces of documentation to find an answer, mm-hmm. I created the expert on this development project.
So, okay, so you're dumping the information, and when you say you're teaching the AI how to give you the information that you want, that's a form of prompting, right? That you're
Correct.
Teaching it. So how did You're like probably the best prompter at this point, right? So how did you learn how to do that from the YouTubes?
Yeah, I mean, it was a lot of trial and error. It was a lot of build it and break it.
Yep.
It was a lot of, rendition after rendition,
Yep.
iteration after iteration. But yeah, I mean, it literally, when ChatGPT came out, no one really knew how to use it. I mean, of course, the Silicon Valley tech guys don't count, but I still have people who are saying, write me an email, write me a listing description. Mm-hmm. The unlock for your ChatGPT is you got to tell it who you want it to be, mm-hmm. what the task is, what the context of what you're trying to do is, mm-hmm. any constraints, the format. You've got to tell it, just like if I was bringing you on as a marketing person. Yes. I'm not going to tell you, go make me a Facebook ad.
Agreed, yeah.
I'm going to say, I want you to make me a Facebook ad that's going to bring me 500 leads over the next 30 days in this niche for this demographic in this house. Yes. Totally different outputs.
Totally different outputs.
So that's where I started to
treat it like almost like a human.
Yeah.
You treat it like a human, explain it like a blank slate,
mm-hmm.
but
and I went
unlimited
from
possibility.
skeptic to, I'm sorry, holy shit, real quick. And so when we went from 7 to 3, I started putting in our systems, our processes.
So is this the unlock? Like you're like, holy shit, I'm dumping all my time.
18
I'm going to
months.
learn this. Okay.
18 months.
And where did it start to where did it end?
Late nights. YouTube,
yes,
a lot of trial and error, I probably have, 1,000 different Google Docs of like things I've tried so I can like figure out with ChatGPT 4 versus, 3.0, like what's the difference? And then, then you throw in Cloud and Gemini and all these different, I broke or tried to break everything.
Yes.
Until I found a system that worked for us. And to your point earlier, even though we lost 67% of our team mm-hmm. walking into 2024, we increased our GCI, our gross commission income, by 35.8%.
Yes.
And we didn't even take commissions on 8 of those because 8 of them we bought as investors and took $1.
There you go. So you got you were able to grow your business, mm-hmm. leverage AI, scale with less people, save money, mm-hmm. and you're just paying whatever subscription cost you're paying for each of these AIs. So walk me through like what are like the top AIs that you're using today? Like, so there's ChatGPT.
Yep.
What do you use that for today?
So ChatGPT, I use it in a lot of different ways. I use it as my thought strategist. Mm-hmm. So it's not just a tool that I'm jumping in there and telling it what I want it to do or asking it questions. Mm-hmm. I'm commanding it who it is, what I'm looking for it to do, and it's working with me mm-hmm. to enhance the things that I'm already doing.
Okay.
So I bring the idea. Mm-hmm. We work together to enhance that idea. It actually will plug holes that I didn't even think of in a lot of ways. And so that's the key to getting it to work with you mm-hmm. and not just for you. And that's how you scale even more rapidly. So right now I'm having it write business plans. Mm-hmm. I'm having it, actually my son and I just did it's coding him his own game.
Oh, that's pretty dope. Yeah. How old's your son?
He's 10.
10, okay.
Yeah. And they're watching and I'm trying to like show them. But it's doing so many other things for me. Like, for example, the OpenAI API key, mm-hmm. which is basically the back door, mm-hmm. I've integrated that with other bots who are actually agentic. So they actually take processes, connections through different platforms and do tasks for you instead of just give you context. And so learning that back door seemed really daunting. Mm-hmm. But as soon as I understood it, it took hours of work off of my plate. So
crazy.
Yeah.
So like you were talking about, to give people an understanding, like if you have, and I'm going to correct me. Okay. Yeah. So I'm going to try to explain this. So if a client reaches out to you, let's just say on a DM, you have the ability to take that DM, you get that DM into your, like you could zap it over to your CRM. Your CRM can then take that and talk to an AI to develop a message that's going to go out to that customer, whether it's by text or by email or whatever the case is. And it's using your voice, your likeness from a very human perspective to get a message out to that client in a voice text that is not you. It's an AI, but it sounds just like, so walk me through like how you do all that.
Yeah, so there's a couple of different ways. So I think the one that you're referring to is I could have a lead fill out a form, mm-hmm. and I have that form is then summarized with a chatbot mm-hmm. who knows what their job is, what their role is, what their goal is, the format, and then that bot will actually take that summary over to 11 Labs where it clones my voice.
Yes.
And then it will actually email the share link through Google Drive to the prospect. So if you were coming in as a lead and you told me whatever it is, the bot will actually read what you said, analyze it, respond based off of your inputs, and drop you a voice link in my voice to your email within seconds.
And within seconds. That's all those steps happen like that. And then the conversion on that skyrockets because they're
it's
like
personalized to them.
Yeah. And they're just like, oh my gosh.
Speed to lead is already taken care of.
Yes.
And so that's how it all started. Where I'm at now, and again, it's been 18 months, so I'm not years into this. Like I'm still learning. I'm only a couple steps ahead. But when I found the power of what the AI could do, I actually took the Go High Level platform and built a white labeled version for our team.
Just for your team?
Just for our team. It's coming to market, sellable here soon, actually in May. And so what that does now is that person fills out that form and that bot responds just the same. But now the contact is being created. It's being tagged in our CRM where that lead came from. If it's a source of outreach that is, Facebook or open house or whatever, it will actually round robin and assign one of my agents
based on
to that contact. And then it jumps in and responds to the contact, and it has a whole loop of conversation, knowing that its only job is to get that contact to book on our calendar.
Yes.
Once it books on our calendar, the ChatGPT stops, the human steps in. But what has happened now is the human steps in with a pre-qualified lead. We know their timeline, their budget, if they're pre-approved, what their pain points are, if they are selling, have they done renovations?
Great. You know everything.
So we're coming to them with solutions at that point, not questions.
And so are you able to track, if you go back and you take the same kind of client that came to you, prior to you having the system in place, what that conversion was versus what it is today, and has that changed?
So conversion for cold, like I said, we're about 85% referral based anyways.
Yeah.
So conversion for us has always been pretty high.
Yeah.
But we never did Facebook ads or anything like
now
that.
you're
So
able
this
to
has
test this
unlocked a full nother opportunity for us with this type of automation.
So amazing.
So what this does for our team is, if I'm next in line, I'm in this podcast, right? Lead comes through, it's my turn. ChatGPT is having a full conversation with them.
Yeah.
Creating the contact, tagging me in the CRM, letting me know, hey, you've got a lead. Here's the entire transcript of what we've already talked about. Here's what they're looking for. So when I do get back to my phone, or they've already booked on my calendar and I show up, it's not that icebreaker. It's not that, well, why are we here today?
Yes.
It's, hey, here's what you said. Here's your net to seller. Here's your comps. Here's the search already set up. Here's the documentation. Let's sign it and let's go.
You've made it so much easier. So, okay. So the most people who are listening, including myself, I'm so, like, my limit is, like, I played around with 11 Labs. I'm not using it in my day to day, although I think that's wildly underutilized. But I'm using ChatGPT for so many things, right? And so, how do you, for those that are just on that level, let's start with,
a lot of people are, so don't feel like you're behind. I mean, you're actually ahead.
That's me, yeah, right?
If you're already there.
So, but you set a prompting on how you did your prompting, and it's so, you use it so much that you're used to it, but most people aren't. So you said you need to tell it to roll. Like, walk me through what were the the 5 steps to
roll.
Yep.
Who you want it to be. Okay. And that can be act as whatever that person is. It's even more powerful to say you are.
Okay.
Because now it's stepping itself into, I'm a marketing strategist, I'm a brand strategist, I'm this, I'm that. Then what is it that you want it to do? The tasks you want it to complete. So I want you to create a LinkedIn post about this information in my brand voice with this call to action. And the formatting would be the LinkedIn post, because that's now knows that it's not going to write you a newsletter, it's going to write you a LinkedIn post. But what people don't understand is, once you get that down, and once you get ChatGPT giving you the outputs that are that much more powerful, once I get that LinkedIn post, now I'm off to the races. Great. Now create a Facebook post. Now create an Instagram reel.
Yeah.
Now create an Instagram carousel. Now create the newsletter.
So you're
now
leveraging
create the blog.
one message
one thing
to all of
turns into all of it.
Yes.
And within 15 minutes, you're across 6-7 different platforms, copy paste, talk to the script a little bit,
Yep.
and it's in your brand voice. It's learning you every single time you're talking to it. And if it doesn't know you yet, I'm happy to give your audience kind of my breakdown on how to train.
That. Yeah, do that.
Yeah. You could dump in your LinkedIn profile, your Instagram URL, your website, if you have written newsletters or blogs in the past, and it will start to learn
your voice
and understand your voice, your tonality, who your audience is. And it gets you to a point where now I can say to mine, hey, write me a blog post based off this podcast. And in seconds, it's going to give me something that is much better than I could have come up with because I've been working with it and training it for so long.
Incredible. Yeah. So there's a way like within it, and you could probably explain this better than I can, but I found this where you can actually go, maybe it was it was actually on your, you trained me on this with your webinar where you can go in and actually create the bot. Yeah. So like I took that and you can upload PDFs, you can upload transcripts. So I uploaded like all my transcripts, everything that I did. And I was like, you're my branding bot. Yep. And like, here's my colors. Yep. Here's everything. Like I loaded it with everything I could. And so that if I'm doing anything with regard to branding or marketing, I go to that bot. Yep. And it's like front and center, and it just remembers everything, and it talks like me. It puts out information like me. And the more I use it, the more I change things, it becomes like a better version of what I'm looking for it to do. Yep. But that piece was like insanely powerful.
Yeah. So there's two ways to do that. One, in the top right corner, if you have the $20 version or higher, yep. I don't even have the $200 version.
Okay,
I don't have
I'm on $20 version.
I'm on $20. Yeah. Top right corner, under your profile picture, yep. There's a drop down. Start with the one that says personalization.
There you go. Yeah.
And that's where you teach ChatGPT as a whole who you are,
yes,
what you do, how you want it to talk to you, teach it your brand voice. Okay. That's step one. Step two, what you're speaking on, is a custom GPT.
Yes.
That's the second, I think, drop down, same area, but it's custom GPT. That's where you start to train these bots to have a specific job.
Yes.
So now you have a newsletter writer. That's one. Save it, name it, do whatever you want with it. Now you need a marketing one. Now you need a business analyst. Now you need one to review your P&L. And you train these on one job. That's it. And they become the expert in that field. So instead of hiring someone to do something or taking hours to create something, you just jump into that bot that you need for a second.
Love this, yes.
It's already trained on who you are and what you do. It already knows its job. And now you jump in there and say, hey, create me a Facebook post for this podcast that we just did, and boom, you're done in seconds.
So amazing. So like if you think about it, you can create your entire GPT, how you want to do it, and then you can actually create miniature versions of people that you want in your life, bots, that are handling different things that you want to be them. You want them to be the expert on. Yeah. And so for you, like, what are some of the top things that you're using it for? Yeah. Like for you, like what kind of bots do you have created?
For sure. So I have one.
I would love to look at your I'm
going to be so real and authentic.
Hold on, this
here.
is so good. But there was a TikTok. I've seen it going around. I've seen it more than once. So I think it's a thing, but it's like, if there's ever a break, what is it? If there's ever a hack on GPT, like I'm cooked.
I'm cooked.
Because of all the things that you're using. So tell me about the bots that you're using.
Yeah, so this is a healthy obsession. Let me just start there.
Yes.
The first bot I ever built was, what would Alex and Leila do? Okay. And I trained it on their book, his book, The $100 Million Offers.
Okay.
I trained it
People don't know who Alex and
Leila Hormozi.
Yes. Okay.
They are, again, healthy obsession.
Yes.
It's not toxic.
Okay.
But that was the first bot I built because I'm building these businesses. And by the way, we have our team. We now have the coaching. I now have the CRM that I've built. We flip homes. We have long-term rentals. We have short-term rentals. So we run multiple businesses.
This is amazing.
And so that's what started it. I was like, I want to get in front of Alex and Leila, but I don't know them.
Yes.
I can't just call them.
Yeah.
So I trained a bot on everything that they both teach. So if I ever do have a question, I go into that bot and I'm like, hey, this is the decision I have to make. What would Alex and Leila do?
Well, here's my question on that. And I don't know if you know this, but do you have to constantly upload information, or is it at this point pulling information from the internet every time you go and ask a new question?
So now that it has web search capabilities, you could just toggle that on and it can go scrape the internet and find it. When I first trained it, a year and something ago, ChatGPT didn't have that capability. So it was me importing sources.
Inputting sources, yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
YouTube videos.
Yes.
Every scaling document I could get my hands on.
Yes.
Basically everything.
It is cool how it's evolved.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, a month ago, if I would have put in like, hey, I'm going to do a podcast with this person, tell me everything you need that I can know about them. Well, today, like you guys were coming in and we're talking about Jennifer, and I was like, I don't know a lot about her. So we like pulled it up, and it had her picture, it had her bio, it had everything. It, you know, it even threw me questions that you should ask her. And I was like, this is really like so next level.
Yeah.
From what it was even just, 3 weeks ago.
In my community, it's so funny you say that, because I had one of my, Ryan Hillard in the group.
Yeah, Ryan, yeah.
He texted me late one night and he's like, oh my gosh, I just got this new client. And I asked them where they came from. And she asked ChatGPT who the best lender in Denver, Colorado was, and I came up.
That's so dope.
And so I did a whole class on how to become searchable on ChatGPT.
On ChatGPT.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, the Alex and Leila has made me a stronger, more confident decision maker, because obviously when it is you and you're the only one, to have a little bit of support from someone, it's powerful.
So you've effectively created a business coach bot
Advisor.
off of the two people that you most admire because of their success and how they leverage their brand and everything that they're doing to manage multiple business streams. And now you're taking it and you're able to ask it questions. So like on any given day, like when you're stuck, or where would you use this bot? Like walk us through how you would use
so
that bot.
For example, I never intended to be a tech founder. I'm not even a techie person. Mm-hmm. But as it came time to, okay, should I hire a development team? Should I bring this to market? If I do bring it to market, what should I charge for it? What has to be all of the...
So you're going to Alex and Leila.
What are the things I'm not even thinking of? And I would just jump in the bot and I would say, hey, out of nowhere, this is kind of what's happening. And it literally will say, Alex would do, Leila would do, and it will give me based upon their teachings.
Does that give you confidence
100%.
in your idea, where you might be on a crossroads of saying, man, this is a dumb idea, should I do it? And you take it to there and it's like giving you, you've unlocked something for me that I like.
Well, and here's the thing is train your GPT. Don't just agree with me. Tell me where I need to go wrong. Tell me what I'm missing. Give me more ideas. Don't just give it permission to be like, yay, you're awesome, and be a cheerleader.
Because it will, right?
Like you are I'm the thought leader. You're the thought strategist. You have to fill all these holes I'm not seeing. What are my blind spots? What are my bottlenecks? What's holding me back? What am I avoiding? That's where you go real deep with it. And unless you're alone in your room, I wouldn't do it, because it's going to get real with you.
Well, so one of the things that I noticed, I think this hit me this year in a way that I had never really noticed it in my career. But so I manage a group of managers, and I used to be in the role that they're in. So I have this been there, done that kind of mentality. And then it's like, I can help you build something that I've done, right? Because I've done it before. And so as I'm going through it, usually I find myself saying, well, you might not be asking the right question. The question isn't, why am I not successful in this particular area of the business? The question is, what did you do, or who should I talk to, or how did they overcome this challenge, right? It's shifting the question instead of accepting defeat, right? And so when you look at like a GPT to be able to, challenge you and know the right questions, everything is about, like, I noticed that you're really good at that. Like, you just know how to ask it and how to set it up for the right questions. That a lot of people that are not real, like, argue with me, tell me that, don't just accept that, what I'm saying is right. I'm the thought leader, you're the thought strategist. Those things are significantly things that I had never thought about. So you've unlocked things of everybody that I've met in the space, specifically around AI. I've been to a lot of conferences. I've seen a lot of people speak on it. I've not talked to anybody who's as far as you are, and you'll say I'm not far enough, and that's okay. But in my world, you're the furthest. And so you created recently a way to build a community around getting to connect with you and teach people like what you've learned so far. How do people become a part of this, and tell me, well, let's start with the community. So what got you off the fence and building the community to begin with? Like, cause that in itself is like, what if nobody wants to come to my party?
Yeah.
What if nobody wants to be in my community? All right. So like,
scary as hell.
So, but then you did it,
Yeah.
and you found out that there's a group of people that wanted to be a part of it. So let's talk about that.
Yeah. So basically what happened was within my own brokerage, being a top producer, we get asked to teach classes every now and then. And sometimes they are Keller Williams prescribed classes, and sometimes they're like, hey, is anybody doing anything cool that they want to teach? And so I started saying, hey, if anyone wants to listen, I'll show you what I'm doing. And half the room filled up, and then the full room filled up, and then other brokerages started calling me saying,
Were
hey,
you just in the East Coast recently, like speaking
I was
at a
on
large
stage in Atlanta with Jeff Glover.
Yeah, there you go.
Like, what? I had to follow up Jeff Glover 2 days in a row in Atlanta. But I think that's what makes me relatable. Is I'm only a couple of steps ahead of you.
Yeah.
I'm building this for my team. I'm not some AI guru who's coming in here in a Lamborghini and being like, hey, look what this can do. Like, I'm giving you my playbook.
Yes.
Hey, this is what I did. This is how I got from here to here. And the community that I've built is just that. I do live coaching, group coaching every single week. I give you every single prompt that I write. It's all copy paste. And I think that is the empowering part for someone who feels too scared to jump in, to know they're not alone. They have me, typically Monday, Wednesday, Friday, unless I'm doing stuff like this, live with them every single week. They're in my DMs. They're sharing their wins in the community, and they can just copy and paste it all.
Yeah.
So for example, one of my clients is a lender, and what he learned in the first 30-ish days with me, he was like, hey, I think I'm going to go teach this to a brokerage. And I was like, dude, go for it. And he was like, well, what do I do? And so we worked through it a little bit, and he was confident enough. And I said, hey, man, I have built an AI real estate sales closer. This thing is trained on Zig Ziglar, Jordan, Wolf of Wall Street.
Yeah.
Like, this thing is trained on like the top of the top in negotiation, objection handling, and closers. I said, go into the community. I show you what it's built for, and I show you exactly how I trained it. Copy and paste that. Go create your own custom GPT. So every time they open it up, it doesn't say Lauren Lucas. It says your name.
Yeah.
And guess what that did? After that class, a big team came to him. Hey, can you do this for our team of 19? Hey, can you do this again?
Yeah.
And now he's like, hey, I think I might want to bring you in a little bit because they're starting to act. But 30 days with me gave him the confidence to do that. And imagine what your life would be if you had a team of 19 out of nowhere be like, hey, Chris is our guy because Chris gave us this one thing, and all you had to do is copy and paste it from me.
There you go. And you're okay with this because
100%. I'm not here to be the guy with the Lambos. I'm here to change lives.
Yeah.
That's why I got into real estate in the first place. So I don't need the credit. I need people to come back to me and be like, Lauren, this is huge. This made my family go to Paris. This bought our dream home. This, whatever that is.
Yeah.
I don't need my name on it.
Yeah.
I need you to believe in yourself enough to trust me for a small amount of time.
Yeah.
And then go do what you do and ripple effect the rest of the world.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
How do you feel right now in this moment, what you just said from when you started this podcast? Because you're here. Like you're like, at first I saw you a little nervous.
I'm nervous.
But you just spit that like you're like, that's the Lauren that
Yeah.
I've been like really wanting to pull because I see it in you, and I'm so like impressed with what you're building, and you give me confidence to, build the community and, continue to grow. So let's talk about like, I want people listening not only to follow you, where do they find you?
On Instagram, LinkedIn, it's Lauren Lucas _RE for real estate.
And because I'm like so far before where you're at, right? Like I'm so far behind and I want to be in your community, but am I so far behind that it's like, if I join, I'm going to be around people who are 10 steps ahead of me and so uncomfortable. So talk to me about that.
Yeah. So our community right now is all mortgage lenders, real estate agents, real estate investors, director of ops, everybody in the real estate industry. And you would be shocked. They're all where you are, or even a little bit further behind.
Yeah.
All they chose to do was dive in and giddy up. Let's learn this.
And so you give them access to you. You give them access to your playbooks.
Everything.
You're giving them, you're taking, is it individualized where I can come to you and say, okay, here's my goals. Does this make sense for me? And I have access to talk to you, and you're like, yeah, come to this and be a part of it. And how do we find you there? How do we connect to try to be a part of it?
Yeah. So it's a school community. So SKOOL.com. And then it's /AIRE for real estate, Elite Mastermind. So AIRE Elite Mastermind. And absolutely. So like I said, group coaching, typically 3 days a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday at noon Eastern. So the West Coast can get on too.
I love it.
And it is a engaging community where people will have wins and share them. They'll have roadblocks and share them. And yes, I'm there with you every step of the way, but it's been really freaking cool to, if I am traveling or something, get in there and see there's already comments of, hey, I'll jump on and help you here. Or, hey, I actually had that same roadblock last week. Let's meet up. So it's a true community.
I love that.
But absolutely, I've got DMs that are, hey, can I jump on a 30-minute call?
Yep.
I give everyone one free 30-minute call individually anyways, just to get to know you and understand what your pain points are.
Yes.
And again, I'm not here to sell people a course and be like, hey, off to Europe in my Lamborghini.
Yeah.
Like, my goal getting into real estate in the first place was I'm meant for more. I want to help people change their family trees.
Do you have an aspiration of ever driving a Lamborghini?
No. I drive a Jeep Wrangler.
No, I know, but if you had FU money, would you buy a Lamborghini?
I wouldn't.
Would that not be the car? What would be the top car you would buy?
I love my Jeep Wrangler. I love it.
I love this. What year is it?
2024.
There you go.
But
okay,
I mean,
there you go.
It's
dope.
me.
Yeah, there you go.
I can take the top off. It's
and
a
you're in
little
Columbus.
grungy.
You need to have that in Columbus.
But I mean, I wear a white T-shirt and a jacket and Nike. Like, I'm never gonna be this shiny object because that's not me.
Yeah, I just feel like you're subconsciously going to manifest that you're rolling up in a Lamborghini one day because you've talked about it enough. Like, I think you're going to do it.
I don't know. If I make that kind of like, money, maybe like a G-Wagon.
Yeah, there you go.
No, I don't need a Lamborghini. I don't need anything big. I want to live life knowing that I'm making impact.
I love that.
And so when I got into real estate, like I said, it was to make impact and help people change their family trees. When we developed the team, it was to do that at a larger scale. And now the organic evolution has been, now the team is, I'm becoming more of an advisor to them and stepping into opportunities like this to go help change even more people's lives.
I love that.
And again, it's not some random thing I pulled out of the air and said, oh, go learn this. Like, it is, I was head down, hermit mode in the trenches for months and months and months building this.
I love that.
And so all my goal is to help streamline that learning curve for even one person on this podcast. That's a win for me. One person in every room I talk to, whether it's 3 people in the room or 150 people in the room. And just kind of give people an opportunity to understand, like, it doesn't have to be this way. And I think for real estate especially, we're taught grind, hustle, door knock, cold call. Why?
There's a better way.
If I can teach you how to niche down who your ideal client is, create valuable content for them, and post it out into social media, B-roll with one word, and automate your commenting back to them while DMing them that thing that they want, now they've raised their hand. You're attracting your ideal client.
Love that.
It's becoming fun now. You're not having to go and do all the things. And oh, by the way, now you can build the bots on the back end that will actually deliver the thing, create the content, update the pipeline, yada, 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 until they're actually ready to raise their hand and say, hey, you're it. You're my only option.
I love that. I love that you are confident in that space enough to teach it. And I think if anybody's listening to this right now, like, there's not a better person that has, the best intentions to help you take what you're trying to do to the next level from a scalability perspective and leverage this amazing, incredibly cheap tool that can change your life. And so, Lauren, amazing. Thank you for being here, and thank you for coming this far away. I hope that, you have an amazing weekend here in Arizona. And, while we have you, like, let's talk about, real quickly, like, why, you and I met through a mastermind. But why is it important for people to invest, their income into personal development from your perspective? Because I think you leaned into this, but I think you also believe in it in a
100%.
really big way. And I think you've become, somebody who people who are listening should invest in themselves as well. So tell me a little bit about that.
Absolutely. And here's the thing is I have become a student of life because I want to be the best version of me every single day that I can be. So I still, even though I have, the big business, multiple of them, the nice car, the nice house, I'm still late at night on YouTube learning. I'm still developing. I'm still tweaking because there's never going to be a day where I want to look in the mirror and say, I could have done something more. I could have done something differently. And I think that 1% crazy in us, or as Neil calls us, the, the degenerate misfits.
Yes.
You have to become obsessed.
Yeah.
You have to become obsessed with the why, not the what. It can't be the money. It can't be the car. It can't be the name and lights. It has to be the why am I doing this? And for me, it's to help change as many lives as possible. That's it.
Yeah.
So if I can every single day wake up, and I don't know if you saw this post on my Facebook, but this was, in my opinion, the difference between me last year and me this year was I started 2025 saying, I'm not going to make a vision board. I'm not making any sort of New Year's resolutions, nothing. My only promise to myself is that I'm going to get 1% better every single day. And do you know the math on that?
Yeah, it's incredible.
37x. If you do 1% every single day, you'll be 37 times bigger.
So you're
smarter,
just focusing on like, hey, I did this today. I could have done better here, and just keep implementing small changes.
If I can help one person per day, at the end of the year, that's 365 people I helped.
Well, that's it. That's the reason we do the podcast. It's not because, we're trying to change the world. It's that there's one person out there that's listening that's like, I need her in my life, and I'm going to reach out to her. And that's the hope, is that they reach out to you. Give them your Instagram again.
Yeah, Lauren Lucas _RE. And even if it's not AI, if you use me as inspiration to jump out of that 9 to 5, follow your dreams, do all the things that could have and probably should have taken me out.
Without a doubt.
Just keep going. Just keep showing up, trusting the process, trusting yourself. And in our bedroom, we have this quote right in front of our mirror, and we look at it every single day. And it says something along the lines of, I'm not scared about my next chapter because I know the author.
There you go.
I'm the author.
You know yourself.
So if I'm showing up every single day, is it all going to be rainbows and unicorns? No. You're going to have bad days. But as long as you're making progress every single day towards what is your legacy is, or what your burning desire is, that's all that matters.
I love this. Well, follow Lauren, and thank you for being here.
Of course. Yeah, it's my pleasure.
And guys, if this was at all helpful to you, if you found inspiration in this, if it was enough for you to go and look up Lauren and follow her, just take a snap, on your phone of this and post it and tag us, because we would love to know that what we did today inspired, even if it was just one person. So thank you for listening to The Breakthrough with Chris Medellin. And Lauren, thank you for being here today.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.